All right, so the biggest thing to do when you're solving by square roots is make sure you get the squared part by itself first. If that's by itself, like x, if it's just x squared, like this first example, it's x squared is equal to 25. The squared part is the part that has the two exponent. That's the squared part. So sometimes it's just going to be plain x, and there's going to be times where it may be a parentheses with the squared on the outside. We'll get to problems like that. But the big thing you got to keep in mind is the squared part by itself? If it is, then you're ready to take the square root of both sides. And the key to this is remembering that when you take the square root of both sides, that you have to put a plus or minus in front of that, the square root of the number. Because when you square positive 5, what do you get? You get 25. What happens when you square negative 5? You also get 25. Negative 5 times negative 5 is also positive 25. So that's why we need a plus or minus. So we're going to get two answers for every problem. That's what we're going to see here. You're always going to have plus and minus, both of them. You're always going to have both of them. Okay, so this one's easy because we know the square root of 25 is 5. So it's just plus or minus 5. So we have two answers, x equals positive 5 and x equals negative 5. And we usually just write it that way, plus or minus there, just to keep us from having to write extra stuff. Okay, so the square part by itself, then you take the square root of each side and plus or minus in front of the side that has the number. Okay. So example B. Another fairly simple one. Whoops. Don't do the square root yet. X squared is equal to 12. So is the squared part by itself? Yeah, the squared part's the x. It's x squared. It's by itself. So that means I'm ready to take the square root of both sides. And I need a plus or minus in front of the square root of 12. This is where it comes back to what we did before spring break, where we're going to simplify that radical to get the exact solution. Okay? And we'll also get a decimal approximation for some of them. But the biggest thing I want is the exact solution. So how do we simplify the square root of 12?
Well, it goes from 6 to 2.
All right.
Okay, and then the 6 will be 3 and 2.
All right.
And then the 3 will be.
All right, so we got a pair of 2's. So that's a 2 on the outside, and the 3 stays on the inside. And we just put the plus or minus in front of that. Okay. So remember simplifying square roots through the factor tree. So we'll need some practice doing that again. Okay. Won't be as much stuff where we're adding and subtracting or multiplying square roots here. Just simplifying them is the main thing you'll be using with this section. Okay. All right, so plus or minus 2 radical 3 is how you would read that. So x squared is equal to, let's do 32. That seemed to be one that gave us some problems on those quizzes. Is the squared part by itself?
No. Yes.
Yeah, the x is the only thing that's squared. It's by itself, so we're ready to take the square root of both sides. And then we're going to simplify that square root of 32 because 32 is not a nice square number like 25 was. So give myself a little bit more room there. 8 and 4, 4 and 2, 2 and 2, 2 and 2. We have 2 pairs of 2's and then 1 2 that doesn't have a buddy. 4 radical 2. Good job. Plus or minus in front of that. Don't forget your plus or minus. It's not. It really isn't that bad.
I think it's actually easier.
I don't understand how plugging numbers into a problem and multiplying it out is harder than this.
Oh, this is easier.
Is it? What do you do?
Because I can visually understand. Okay, first we're going to go ahead and start by putting those bracket things around the
Wrong.
Got to get x squared by itself.
Got to get x squared by itself. Got to get the squared stuff by itself. So I'm going to divide by 3. That's right. This is easy, right? This is easy, yeah.
It's still easy.
It is now. What do you do now? What's the thing?
Yeah.
The square root. What's the square root of 4? 2. So it's just plus or minus 2. Those are our 2 answers.
Still easy.
That's still easy so far. Y'all know it's gonna get harder, right?
Yeah.
It always does. It's not like it's a surprise to you. Do I now? Yeah, I can scroll back up. Sure. Is that far enough? It will be. It's an old problem. So.
Mr. Ismail,
Yes, ma'am.
you have Todd Pulley.
I do.
Can you go to the office? He's checking out.
All right.
Thank you.
You want to see how quick I can go?
Okay.
5. You have to do the thing like this. So the 5 over 3. So 5 over 5. Yeah. And you do it. Same thing on the other.
All right. So we're gonna divide both sides by 5. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Good job. Oh, he got it. He's got this. All right. So will 5 go into 110? How many times? 22 times.
Hey, now that I don't know.
All right. Now, is the squared part by itself?
Yes.
So we do what?
But the thing that I know.
The square root. Learn that word eventually. And then we try to simplify that square root because 22 doesn't have a nice square root like 4 did. Adam? Well, we don't want to get a decimal. We want to get the exact solution. So we want to try to simplify to that if possible. If we do the factor tree for 22, it's 11 and 2, but 11 doesn't break down. There are no pairs to pull out. So we're just going to leave it the square root of 22. Just going to leave it alone there. So it'd be x equals plus or minus the square root of 22. Throw a fraction in there because that makes it infinitely harder, right? It's easy.
More times equals more marbles.
Yeah. What do you do to get x squared by itself on this one? Reciprocal. We multiply by 3 over 2. And there's x squared is equal to 18. 1.5 times 12. And then what? We can take the square root of both sides. 18 does break down. Pair of 3s. 3 radical 2. Don't forget the plus or minus. If you don't have the plus or minus on your answers when you do the quiz, you only have one of the answers, not both of them. You only have the positive side if you don't put that plus or minus there. Gotta have both. All right. Not too bad. Still on the easy level. I still say this is not expert level yet. So we're on. Are we gonna get that? Say that again. Add 6. Why? To do what? Get the x squared by itself. That's the whole idea here is get x squared by itself. So we're doing the operation to get that x squared by itself. So we're going to add 6. That's 28 over there. Now what? Do the square roots. And then we want to break down 28. So I'm just going to go over here inside 7 and 4. Plus or minus 2 radical 7. Goodness. No. You think it's hot now? Wait till you close that door. It'll be worse. The noise, I can deal with that better than I can the heat. All right. Let's do this one. X squared plus 12 equals 8. Make that 18. Sorry. I got my 1 there.
Okay. Teach us how to do it.
You tell me how to do it.
Well,
Minus 12. Often says minus 12 because we're trying to get what by itself?
that,
We're trying to get the x squared by itself. So we're minusing 12. That's x squared. 8 minus 12, 6. And then what? Break it down with the square root.
yeah.
Does 6 break down? No. So we're going to leave it. Plus or minus the square root of 6. I'm just going to go over the side. Which ones? Both of those operations will be used, but which one happens first? We're going to add 5 first because we're trying to get what part doesn't have an x squared. The 5 doesn't, so that's the part we need to move first. So we're going to add the 5 first. And that's going to give us 3x squared is equal to 27. And then we can divide by that 3. X squared equals 9. It relates way back to chapter 3 we did back in August. We started chapter 3 in August. So these steps right here, the blue one and the green one, are all chapter 3 kind of stuff. The red one right here, that's today's stuff. So everything before that, we should know how to do. It's the square root part that's going to possibly mess us up. So we take the square root of that. What's square root of 9? 3. That worked out nice. Plus or minus square root of 3.
Please tell me to do it as far as you can. Does it get hard?
I don't know that it gets any harder. I mean, it's...
That's actually pretty good.
Ma'am? We've already got letters in there. No, we're only going to have one variable in the problem that we're doing. Because we couldn't solve it for more than one. Not at the moment, anyway. Let's do another one like that. It's 2x squared minus 7 equals 7. Oh, like that. Yeah, 7. That's good enough.
Okay, you add about 7.
Add 7. That's good. And then what?
You did the square root.
Can't do that yet. Got to divide by 2 first. That 2's in the front. It's in the way.
That's right.
So we got to get rid of it.
Yeah, I get it.
You will. You will. Just takes practice. And then what?
Okay, can you break this? You can't break this.
Yeah, 7 doesn't break down any, so we're just going to leave it plus or minus square root of 7. Don't forget your plus or minus. Let's increase the difficulty level.
Okay.
Keep in mind, what's the very first thing that I talked about at the beginning? You got to get the squared part by itself, right? Is the squared part by itself? What part is squared in this problem? X minus 2. That's the part that's squared. Is it on that side by itself? Yeah. So we're going to take advantage of that and say, oh, I can get rid of that squared by doing what? Taking the square root. If I take the square root of that side, I'm going to end up losing the the squared part, and I get x minus 2 is equal to plus or minus 4. That's two problems. It's x minus 2 equals positive 4.
How do you get 4?
Square root of 16. 4 times 4 is 16. And then x minus 2 is equal to negative 4. Two separate equations to solve. Add 2. X is equal to 6. Same operation over here. Get a different answer. Negative 2.
That little stuff right there is like the first.
It is. It's from the very first week of class. These last two equations, very first week of class.
They look very
Yeah. Should. Familiar to you, something you've done before. So the squared part by itself, take the square root. So we have x plus 3 squared equals 36. Is the squared part by itself? Yeah. So what do we do then? Take the square root. On the side that has the number, it's plus or minus. What's the square root of 36? 6. So it's plus or minus 6. Left side is x plus 3. That creates how many equations we have to solve? Two different equations. X plus 3 equals positive 6. X plus 3 equals negative 6. Solve each of those. X equals 3. Negative 9, yeah. So I would put...
Mr. Insel,
Yes, ma'am.
David Cox checking out.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's say we had maybe step it up to level, I would call this level expert, maybe. I don't know, maybe difficulty level hard, not expert yet. Oops, don't need the plus or minus yet. Getting ahead of myself. X minus 1 squared is equal to 48.
Okay. You gotta put the square root thing. Right?
All right, because the squared part's already by itself, right? So we're good. Take the square root of both sides. The difference in this example and the last few we've had is that 48 doesn't have a nice square root to it, CJ. So we got to break it down using the factor tree thing, right? 6 and 8, 3 and 2, 4 and 2, 2 and 2. So we got two pairs of 2's. So that's x minus 1 is equal to plus or minus what? Say it again. 4 radical 3. Good job. So that sets up how many equations? 2. 4 radical 3. And then x minus 1 equals negative 4 radical 3. We got these two equations. One's positive 4 radical 3. One's equal to negative 4 radical 3. We're going to get x by itself. So what do? You're going to add 1 for both problems. But the thing about it is 1 is not a like term with 4 radical 3. We remember that from before spring break. Maybe we don't. It doesn't matter if we remember it or not. It's the truth. Okay? 1 plus 4 radical 3. On this other one, 1 minus 4 radical 3. You still get two answers. Okay. So even though that didn't work out to be a nice number there when we took the square root of 48, it still works out to be two different answers. These would be a decimal if we talked about the graph and how that relates to it later on. Because this was a negative, and I just wrote the plain number in front and the radical part in second. You could write these as 4 radical 3 and then plus 1, and then negative 4 radical 3 plus 1. Those are the same answers. You know, those would be the just another way of writing it. I usually just write the plain number first, though. That's the standard.
What's that order?
That's just saying another way of writing this is just changing the order.
Okay.
Doesn't necessarily matter what order you put it in.
You absolutely have to.
No, this is the way I would do it. All right, let's do one more. Let's do level expert. Example N. So we had 6 parentheses x minus 4 squared minus 5 equals 37. Nope, can't do that yet. All right, can't do distributed property either. Gotta get rid of the 5. It's the part that's not even attached to anything. All right, so we're going to get rid of the 5 first. So add 5. That's it. So that gets a 6 parentheses x minus 4 squared is equal to 42. Then I'm going to divide by 6 because the squared part's not by itself yet. It's got that 6 hanging on the front. So I could divide by 6. So that's x minus 4 squared is equal to 7. And then we take the square roots. Square root of 7 doesn't work out real nice, does it? So it's going to leave it in the square root. So that's x minus 4 equals plus or minus the square root of 7. Split it into the 2 equations. We'll add 4. I promise you guys, that's as hard as they get. That's level expert for this section. And that's not that bad. It's not real easy. It's not like example A easy, but it wasn't that bad. Key to solving my square roots, make sure you get the squared part by itself. Okay? The assignment that you got about 30 minutes left in class to start on it. You'll get some time tomorrow to work on this. Is on page 655. Let's do 3 through 8, 10, 13, 17 through 22, 24, 28, and then 32 through 37. So we're doing it all in that set. I've kind of bounced around. It's not as big as it looks because you're skipping around some. But those particular problems are the ones that I want you to spend time on. So you got about 30 minutes left in class today, 25 minutes, or well, no, right at 30 minutes. And then you'll have some time in the class tomorrow to work on this too. Okay. All right. That's 3 through 8, 10, 13, 17 through 24, or through 22, 24, 28, 32 through 37.